There comes a time in one's life where you wonder what goes through your head when you're doing certain things. But I think back to the time that I was a wee innocent, and I think about all the things that I wish I knew. I've spoken to other people that have never been there before. I just feel like there's so much that can be said, so many little things I wish I knew, so much that I would just love to share and talk about, and I guess normalize as well. Also, by the way, I don't know how picky YouTube is with certain words, so I'm gonna try and keep things sensible whilst also factual, maybe biological and real. Bear with me whilst I use funny words, but without further ado, don't rush losing your V-card. And other tips for your first time. As always, guys, if you're not a vagin, feel free to keep watching. It's totally fine. It's up to you. You might learn something, you might not. Either way, let's just have a good time. So, this video is going to be broken up into 3 parts. We have our quick key notes, our juicy info, and quirky tips. The first section, quick key notes. Number 1, you will never regret waiting. Quick story time. There was a time when I was 15 years old. I was talking to this guy. We were planning to... And weirdly enough, I was actually coming back from holiday. I'd been unwell, and I had a myriad of reasons as to why I could not go ahead with our plan, and we never went ahead with it. And I'm so grateful for that, because I think all of those reasons that came up, aka excuses, if you will, that was just my intuition literally yelling, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. You will know deep down whether or not you're ready. If you have to doubt whether or not you're ready, you're not ready, and that's okay. The thing is, I always knew what I wanted, and for me, that was mutual respect. It didn't have to be a relationship for me personally, and you can judge me, whatever, that was my choice. Just as I am entitled to my choice, so are you. What's important at the end of the day is that you honor your body, your wants, and your needs. Ultimately, at the end of the day, no one is going to live with this decision besides you. Okay, so you have to be happy with the decision that you make. Who cares if you're the odd one out in your friendship group or in society or just in your general demographic? You have to respect yourself. That is up to you and your responsibility. Remember, guys, you don't want to rush into this with somebody who is not even a good person, let alone the right person for you. And one last tip for this, the people that might want something a little bit more intimate for their first time experience, you want to make sure that the person that you go for this with is somebody that you trust. Whether it's a friend, just so you know, things might get a little complicated with that, but whether it's a friend or it's somebody that you're in a relationship with, you want to make sure that trust is involved in the equation. More on that later and how that can help you to feel better. So to round this section off, I just want to say whatever your wants, needs, desires are, be unapologetic about it. It is so important that you honor yourself, your needs, your wants in this situation. Okay, what you choose to do, it is entirely yours. This is your body. Actually, whilst we're here, before I forget to mention this, being a vagin doesn't make you pure, and then not being one doesn't make you impure. So I just hope that that conversation is just out of the window. I don't want any conversations like that in this corner of the internet. That is not what we do around here. You're just experience versus inexperience. So just to clear that up, I don't want shame either way. I don't want shame if you are the most experienced person under the sun, and I don't want shame if you are the least experienced person under the sun. I think that there is just too much shame in either side of it, and I just think it's ridiculous. So in this context, with this specific point, I want to reiterate the fact that if you choose to wait, there is nothing wrong with that, and there is nothing wrong with you. It is perfectly okay. This is your choice. Yours entirely. Regardless of what your family members say, regardless of what friends say, regardless of what society says, I am telling you right now, what you choose to do with your V-card is entirely up to you. Okay? You're the final authority. Number 2 in this section, remember that you can say no at any time. Guys, look, I know this might sound boring, you might have heard this before, but this is the stuff that will keep you safe. This is your armor. Your language, your voice is your armor. Okay? And I don't mean armor as in you gotta go on defensive. I just mean that this is your body, and a body comes with boundaries. You come with boundaries. I have to talk about these important things first before we get into the juicy stuff, because I think so many people forget this. And I think that sometimes when we're really excited or we're looking forward to trying something for the first time, we can get swept away with what things might be like and the fantasy of it, and maybe the romance, the excitement, and what it looks like in movies, and maybe in Wattpad fan fictions. But it's important to remember the important stuff too, that you can say no at any time. You do not need to feel like you owe somebody something, because you don't. Okay, just as they do not owe you anything, you do not owe them anything. You can be like what you might describe as like 90% of the way through. You can still call it quits. you can still call it quits. You still have a voice, you still have a say, you still have authority in that situation. There's nothing wrong with withdrawing consent. Just as you give consent, you can equally take it away. I have to reiterate this because I think, especially if you have exposed yourself to porn, if you know what I mean. I already knew this before I ever had my first sexual encounter, but after gaining more experience, I can for sure tell you that porn is very male focused, very, very male focused. And I think that if you have watched that and that is your only idea / understanding of sex, then you have a very limited, how do I even describe it? Like, male-centric view of what sex is supposed to look like and what sex is supposed to look like for a woman. And not only that, if that's what you've consumed and you have people-pleasing tendencies, this could create a very dangerous concoction in, let's just say, the bedroom, regardless of where you are, but, you know, I want you to understand that you have a voice. I want you to understand that you can say no at any point, that you deserve pleasure in this experience too, that your body counts. I don't mean that in a weird pun way, but like, you are an equal participant, and you're not just a participant to please, unless that has, of course, previously been discussed, or, you know, that's what you're going for. You deserve to have a good time too. That involves making sure you feel safe, comfortable, like you can be in the moment, like you're just enjoying yourself. This is meant to be a pleasurable thing. It's not just for baby making, it's meant to be fun. It's meant to be an experience. And if you're not finding it fun, whatever fun means for you, fun could be like playful and flirty and teasing. It could be intense and steamy and romantic. Like whatever your version of fun is, if you're not finding it fun, that's not okay, right? So you need to be able to feel comfortable with yourself, and a huge part of that is knowing that you have a voice, knowing that you have power in the situation, and that you can use that power to say no at any point. To round off this subject, I just want to say that naturally, given your situation, there are going to be things that you have never done before. Sorry, I'm trying to balance on something. So you don't need to rush your process. You don't need to force yourself to be ready for things that you're not ready for. I'm not going to go into detail, obviously, but there are things that I'm still learning. There are things that I'm still experimenting with, and I'm not going to go I'm not going to go into detail. We don't need to do that. But there's new things, you know, you have time. You have time to learn. You have time to experience. You have time to expand. The person that you are participating in this with should be respectful of that, should be respectful of your pace. But that comes from you listening to yourself first and foremost. You don't need to force yourself into doing things that you're not ready for, that you're not comfortable with. You don't need to do things just to be cool or kinky or not vanilla. Vanilla can be very cool too. I mean, wasn't it like Jack Harlow who was like, I'm vanilla, baby? Like, you know, there's nothing wrong with a little vanilla. People buy vanilla. Vanilla's like a base for everything. I go to the shops, I love little vanilla, you know, but like a strong vanilla, not just like a pica. Like, no. Give me the vanilla bean, baby. Third thing in the section, protection, darling. Protection. I'm not going to go fully into detail regarding STDs and stuff. I do have a separate video about that on my channel, so if you're interested, feel free to go check that out. Now, what you need to remember is that STDs can actually be transmitted not only through vagine sex, but also through the other entry points, okay? I think because, you know, we'll watch in the media a lot of the time, people will bring out the protection when it's like the main scene, right? You know what I mean? But they won't use it for the other things. I just want you to know, technically that's not safe sex, okay? So you need to know. Just go in with your knowledge, do with that what you will. Also, guys, look, I am shocked at the time, because I don't know, for some reason I've always been fascinated by this and whatnot, and like pregnancy. I'm just a bit of a weirdo like that, but it is astonishing to me how many people know so little about basic science. How do I put this? Okay, so I don't want to say all the stories and stuff, but there was somebody that I knew of. You know what, let's just not go in there. Let's just not. Let me just put it like this. If they put it, okay, you know what, I'm really trying to think of how to phrase this. Whole thing is just like, not walking on eggshells, but like, I just gotta be really careful with my wording over here. If the person with male genitalia has semen come out of them, semen which contains sperm, which is let's just say fertilizer, right? If any of that substance goes anywhere near the vagine and you have no birth control whatsoever, whether it's a physical barrier like a condom or like a female condom, whatever they call them, I don't even know, or like your like a hormonal thing, or like a, not necessarily hormonal, but like just some sort of birth control, if any of that fertilizer gets inside of you, and in the specific entrance where a baby could be made, yeah, a baby could be made, okay? The quantity doesn't matter. It might not look like a lot to you, but underneath a microscope, trust me, there's a lot of, I don't have any. Why is this topic so weird? If there's sperm and eggs in the mix, you can get pregnant. Let's just leave it at that. Another thing that you need to know about, I don't know if I even want to say this word online, like if my parents would, you know what, it's educational purposes. Pre-cum. Do you not know what that is? Some people do not know what that is, and I just have to tell you, there's a method out there. Some might call it natural family planning. And I'm not dissing that. I actually think that's a very nice thing. More so if you're in a committed relationship, though, and you're okay with perhaps maybe accidentally having a child. AKA the let's just say PO method. You probably know what I'm talking about. That, the way that is sort of guesstimated is with the gentleman practicing timing. I really, this is hard to say. Okay, practicing, implementing, exercising their maybe willpower at some point, and that, and then, right, it's a matter of timing. So what you need to know before a man ejaculates, prior to that, not necessarily just before, but sometimes just like a little before even, there is another substance that comes out, which can best be described as this is really awkward for me to say online, but yes, pre-cum. Okay, so pre-cum can also have sperm in it. So if you think that you're being super effective, you don't have any other birth control method, and you're just gonna do the PO method, honey, you better watch out. Be aware of what you're doing. Don't just think, oh yeah, they'll just do that. First of all, can you even trust this person? Do you know that they're actually gonna do that? Do you know that they're actually gonna do the thing on time? And if they don't, ooh, what you gonna do? Are you happy to be visiting a clinic? Are you the type of person that's happy to, because I'm not judging either way, but you gotta be like aware of the consequences. That is an informed choice. That is a responsible choice. Let me tell you, the morning after pill is not some cheap thing you can go and buy for £1 at Poundland. Okay, it's a little pricey. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Don't be a fool. Remember this, no birth control method is 100% foolproof, so educate yourself on the different types and maybe double up. When I say double up, by the way, I don't mean put 2 condoms on at the same time. This is another thing. People, oh lordy lord, right, if you do that, you can rip the condom. Basically, making everything just, you're not even back to square one, like that is just, what's the point? What is the point at that point? Don't use 2 latex forms at the same time. This will not work. When I say double up, I mean maybe I know I'm obviously talking mostly like heterosexual situations. Please apply this to your situation as best as possible. The physical barrier, yeah, for STDs and pregnancy. And then either, the guy might have like a vasectomy. I don't know what your age is. It's better to use, especially if you don't want to have children, like you're not in a place to be having, like whatever, you don't want to have kids, or this other person doesn't want to have kids. Guys, use 2 forms of protection. 2. I have a copper IUD. I have had that now for coming up to 3 years. If you guys want me to speak on my experience, I am more than happy to do that. Let me know. Now, that we've gone through that, let's get into the juicy stuff. So, bleeding and pain. I know a lot of people, they think it's going to be really painful. It might not be. It might not be. Personally, I didn't find it to be that painful. It was a little bit, but what you want to do, if you go into it thinking, oh my god, it's going to be so painful, it's going to be the most painful thing in the world, you're going to get all in your head, and that actually has an effect on your physical body. You will actually tighten up. What you want is to be as relaxed as possible. That's why for a lot of people, it's better to not have like a one-time situation, or like, I'm not saying that that's not the best situation for you. It could be. That could be exactly what you want. Who am I to judge, right? But for a lot of people, it's nice to have somebody you trust, because then it's more easy for you to be at ease and just sort of enjoy it and feel safe to tell that person, that's too fast, let's do this, da, da, da. Try not to be so in your head. The best way you can avoid that is just communicate with the person that you're with. Be relaxed, take your time. Women, generally, we need a little more time to get warmed up, if you know what I mean, okay? So pain-wise, for your first time, it might hurt a little bit, but it shouldn't be anything crazy, okay? So that's what I need you to keep in mind. If you're feeling crazy amounts of pain, That's not normal. It could just be a thing of like, it's your first time, you're all in your head, you're all tense, and then the biology side of it, and you're all just like, ah, you know, it could it could just be that. But if you notice this keeps happening, or even like with fingers, for example, you're just feeling a lot of pain, go to the doctor, okay? There is no harm in just getting yourself checked. There could be anything, and you just want to make sure that you're doing what's best for you. There's no shame in that. Even your doctor probably does it. Right? So if you think about it like that, no shame, honey. If you have the audacity, let me put it this way, the audacity to go and have the sex and do the do, you should have the same level of confidence to go and communicate about it to the relevant professionals. So how to help the pain, if there is any. Pace-wise, go slow, baby. It is the stereotype. Go slow. Even with the depth, I would advise, like, oh God, I can't believe it. But yeah, I would advise that you don't go too deep. Start slow. I would say even start with fingers, start with the toy, start with some self-play, some talking, whatever. Start slow. Get her warmed up, get her open, get her excited. Whatever. Start, I would say, like, shallow, and so you might be ready all the way. Great, go for it. If that's what feels good to you, go for it. But if it's like, no, go a little more shallow, go slow. Slow is the best thing I can advise. And then if you want, you can pick it up, you know, and she will get used to it as well. And then she'll be like, oh, hey, okay, this is what we're doing. Okay, maybe I can vibe with you. And then you can go from there. But there's no shame in going slow. Communicate this as well to your partner. Slower. Please go slower. I'd like it if, you know, and they should be listening as well. If they're not, then stop it, end it there, because the person that you want to be doing this with, at the very least, regardless of your situation, whether it's a one-night thing or a one-day thing or a friend or a relationship, you want to make sure they're listening to you, because they're listening to you is a sign of respect. Okay? The other thing, towels. I actually did bleed the first few times. Again, when I say this, I don't want you to feel like freaked out and traumatized. Nothing about it was traumatic. I want you to know that. Nothing about my first few times was traumatic whatsoever. And I'm so grateful for that, because I know that's not an experience for everybody. But I will also say a large part of that was due to myself and the decisions that I made and the person that I chose to do this with. The first few times I did bleed. And again, it's not the type of thing like, there's a wound. You're in it and you're having a good time. There's the pleasure involved. So that I would only really notice like a little bit afterwards, and be like, oh, so what you can do, be mindful of the bed sheets. If you want to put some towels down or just use different sheets, go ahead and do that. If you want to get involved in the shower, like, another thing, lube, guys. So your body should naturally produce this, but I was packed and ready to go. Like, the first few times I was like, just in case, and like, it's fine. There's nothing. It's actually a lot more fun for everybody involved. It's the slipperier the better. For the most of the time. Sometimes, let's not go into that, but lube. Get her involved. Water-based, guys. I think water-based or silicone-based, I'm pretty sure, for any latex products that you're using. So if you're using a condom, don't get an oil-based lubricant. The oil will break the latex down, and again, the condom is rendered useless at this point. The other thing, like I said, foreplay and being with the right person for you. Okay? What is foreplay? Foreplay can be kissing on the neck, doing stuff around here, doing stuff between the thighs. If you take the like sort of like more sexual erogenous zones out of it, it could literally be like somebody like brushing your arm in a certain way, talking to you like a certain way throughout the day, talking to you right before in a certain way. Foreplay is like a multitude of things. I don't even fully know like the extent of it, but foreplay, it sort of gets you in the mood. That is the best way I can summarize it. The next thing, is it bound to be bad and awkward? No. Now, one thing, I did speak with somebody and we were discussing, and I said, look, do you have any points about this? They said, look, don't over romanticize it. It might not be like something out of the movies. And I completely agree. You know, your first time, it's likely not going to be something out of Bridgerton. And again, we're going to get into that later. But it can actually be really cute and fun and cool and in a way amazing and perfect. So I'm just going to read out what I said. No, mine was so fun and lasted 2 hours. It was great. And I was actually really surprised because the person that I was doing it with, they were also and so I was ready for this to just end in like a matter of 2-3 minutes, but no, the nerves actually kept them going for about 2 hours, which worked out nicely for both of us. So it was good, it was fun, it was, of course, like, you do feel somewhat exposed, it's kind of intimate, but I'll also say, like, the way we did it, there was a build-up. And that's not always going to be the right thing for everybody, but like, we knew that this was kind of where it was going anyway. So either way, like, whatever you're doing, like, just be present with it. One thing I definitely say, like in the beginning, like the early days, I was somewhat putting on a performance because I had an idea of what sex was supposed to look like. I'd done so much like research as well that I was like, oh, I should moan like this and talk like this and make this face and and then eventually, let me just keep it real with you. When it's really good, like when it's really, really good, you're not thinking about a performance. You're just like, I can't even, no thoughts. No thoughts, but like in the best way possible. And so eventually I realized it was less about putting on a performance and more about just experiencing pleasure and like mutually. That might come with time, but I would just say allow yourself to explore. I watched a lot of tutorials actually. Like I said, I was very curious about this subject and I was just excited to go there and try different things out and see what works on this person. Am I right about this technique? I had this idea about something. I read about this thing over here. Like, you know, I just wanted to go and try it all and see what would happen. I want you to know that it can be a really, really positive memory, and it might not be the most romantic thing in the world, but it can definitely be a fun thing to look back on, and I know that from personal experience. If you're struggling with getting out of your head, maybe recognize that this could be a sign that you're with the wrong person, or just that you're not ready. It could be the right person, but you're just not ready, and that's also okay. Or that you just need to take it a little slower. I will let you know, there have been times where I'm quite familiar with somebody, but I just want to take it a bit slower one day. Just because I've had other things going on in my head, like other things going on in my life, I need a minute to sort of get in the zone, if you will. I can't just sort of, you know, and it changes. Sex drives, they sort of vary depending on what's going on in your life as well. It's okay to be a little nervous and not know what you're doing just because just because sex is something that is natural to humans, it doesn't mean that it's something that necessarily comes naturally to us. Okay, it's an art, if you will, so it takes time and practice to get good at it. Let's talk period sex. So one key thing, guys, please know this, you can still get pregnant. What you need to know, the biology side of it, ovulation. Okay, ovulation is where your body releases an egg, which is like 50% of what it takes to make a baby. You can ovulate before you have had your first period ever in the world. Also, if you're on birth control, because I know a lot of girlies out here, you're taking birth control for your skin, you have not had a period in like months, still be careful. Still be careful. If you're missing pills here and there, maybe it doesn't make a difference to your skin, but regarding your sort of protection in terms of pregnancy, it could be making all the difference in the world depending on what your body decides to do. I was going to say where your body is in the cycle, but you're not menstruating at that point. I'm pretty sure that's the best way to put it. Be mindful. If you've never had a period in your life, like you're very young, or you are, I would even be careful like post-menopause. It can happen to some people, okay? So watch out for that. But again, this is more for, I'd imagine, younger people that are watching. If you're on birth control, which has stopped your period, still be careful. Your body can still ovulate. There are so many, you know those videos online, I didn't know I was pregnant? So many of these people are on the pill and they're like, I haven't had a period in months and years, and all of a sudden I just gained weight, or I felt this pain and I've been so you know what I mean? Like, just be careful. What you need to know about sperm, I can't... Echo, how long does sperm stay alive in the body?
Here is an answer from an Alexa Answers contributor that I translated. The survival of sperm depends on the environment in which it is found. In humans, it lasts approximately 62 to 72 days. Once they ejaculate outside the body, they die outside within a few minutes.
Okay, that doesn't add up. Yeah, I thought so. What the hell? 72 days? That makes no sense. Up to 5 days. Sperm can last in the body up to 5 days. Now imagine you're on your period, right? And you're like, I can't get pregnant. I'm on my period. Imagine your period lasts like 5 days. You have sex on the 5th day and you're like, I'm bleeding. I can't get pregnant. Say you ovulate on like your 10th day. Now I know that's a bit early, but whatever. Let's just say your body decides to be wacko, or that's just how your body works. You ovulate on the 10th day because you have a shorter cycle, right? You could still get pregnant. You could still get pregnant even if it was your period when they ejaculated in you, or like near the entrance or whatever. So just keep that in mind. Another thing, towels. Let's keep it real. Period blood, it likes to stain. So towels, or shower, or be ready to get some stain remover. One thing about period sex, it is very intimate. So, I mean, it can be. I personally, I find it to be quite... Sorry, I'm just fixing the lighting for you guys. I find it to be quite intimate. Like, there's something about it which I feel is more sensitive and, like, raw, vulnerable, if you will. Yeah, so if you're into that, there's something about it, I think I've read, where it's, like, it bonds you to a person more, or, like, vice versa. I don't know, I'll read up on that. Do with that information what you will. If you deal with period cramps, it can actually help you with that. Just generally owing, let's just say owing on your period. Doing that, whether it's solo or with a partner or people, can be very helpful for period pains. So there is also that. Now, also keep this in mind, period sex isn't for everybody. You know, if you're the one that's menstruating, or you're the person who would have somebody doing it with you if you're menstruating, not everybody is into that scene. We don't need to judge people, okay? It's preferences, that's all. If somebody's making you feel shame, I think that's a different story. If somebody's being like, ew, period, ew, you bleed, ew, they're not mature enough to go near your hoo-ha. Let's just be very honest over here. If they can't deal with the fact that you're a human being that just happens to be born into the sex of female, who therefore then menstruate, like, they do not have the maturity to be sleeping with the likes of you. You stunning goddess. Next thing, let's talk about the O, baby. So much I can say about this, quite honestly. Like I said, it's not Bridgerton, darling. It's very rare for people to O at the same time. I'm not saying it's not possible. Of course it's possible. If you know what works for you, if you know what works for them, if maybe the guy is very good at pacing themselves. Sorry, my leg just rubbed against something. I didn't fart. But it can happen, but I don't want you to have this expectation that the best sex will be where you O together and it's this big dramatic finale climax, for lack of better words, or pun intended, quite honestly, pun intended. I don't want you to big it up in your head, like the romanticizing of it, I guess, like I said before. It's not necessarily this like, wow, we're gonna da-da-da-da, and this is it. It's okay if you don't O at the same time. That's perfectly normal. You should know the way that men reach their peak versus how women reach their peak. It varies. It's a matter of like biology. These earrings are killing my ears. Sorry. They're actually clip-ons, guys. I don't wear clip-ons. Somebody gave them to me. They're killing me. They're killing me, but they're beautiful. So, you know what? Let's just do a little fit check moment. Ooh. I wanted to give, I feel like I'm giving a little bit of Katarina. I don't know why. I think it's the curly hair and the black lace. Something about that. Anyway, another thing about O's, there are different types, guys. There are different types of O's. So you can explore that. You can explore that. You can have fun with that. Just off the top of my head, there's like that, for a woman, I'm just going to talk about the women's side of it. There's that external, like, clitoral situation. There's the G-spot situation. There's the sort of, I want to say cervical, like when it's like going deep, you know, like that vibe. So many different types and ways that you can O, and actually same for the guy. So I don't want you to feel limited in your experience. I don't want you to think that, oh, I couldn't O this way, there's something wrong with me. Similarly, this is another thing. I already knew this before I went into it, so I didn't have too many expectations regarding this, but I know that there are a lot of women out there that feel so disappointed that they can't do that movie thing where he just puts it in and then she's like, oh my god, and then she goes, you know? It's very normal, more normal than abnormal for women to not be able to O with penetrative sex, okay? So if they're just putting it in and there's no clitoral stimulation, I mean, it's not that your clit can't be stimulated from inside, it can, but a lot of people find it easier to O with external stimulation. If that's not in the equation, it's okay if you don't O. Like, I feel so weird saying O, but I just don't know what YouTube's gonna do to me if I start saying the other words. Don't worry about it. Find other forms of stimulation. Explore. Like, when I tell you, literally just have fun with it. I'm not gonna go into details, but you'll be surprised what the body can do. You'll be surprised what you can feel when you decide to have fun. Don't shame yourself if you kind of O as fast as a guy or the same way as a man. Oh, another thing, whilst we're here, men get this weird thing. More specifically, I want to say boys. I don't mean boys illegally, just to be clear. But young guys, they'll be like, they have this thing, right, you know, squirting, right? They'll be like, oh my god, I made her squirt, therefore I made her experience the most pleasure possible, because that's how I experience the most pleasure possible. Not necessarily, okay? We need to get this straight over here. Squirting is not like the ultimate. For some people it is, but not for everybody, and that's completely okay. A lot of guys, because it's like, I don't even know, I know there are people out there that could use fancier language than me, but guys think, oh, because this is how I experience pleasure, and this is what I see in porn, this is going to be the best thing, and oh, flex me, I'm such a man, because I managed to make a woman do da-da-da-da. If you don't find pleasure from the things they have to do to get you to or you just don't find pleasure in the experience of, like, basically low-key wetting yourself or whatever, you know, that's okay. It doesn't make you less of a woman. It doesn't make you less sexy. Again, anything you choose not to do, it doesn't make you less sexy. It just makes you you and respectful towards yourself, which I think is bloody hot, just to be clear. Do what floats your boat, babe. There are 3 YouTube channels that I'd recommend off the top of my head. Shannon Boodram. We've got Adina Rivers and Hannah Witten. All of which they talk about sex, sexual topics, everything under the umbrella. They're great. They are honestly brilliant. There was actually a show that I watched on Netflix a while ago, Sex, Love and Goop by Gwyneth Paltrow. That was actually quite informative. So just watch stuff, dude. Watch stuff, get curious about it. You don't have to watch everything under the sun and become like a big old geek about it unless you want to, of course. And feel free to like leave some tips and stuff down below. I'd love to learn. But go and learn. The less we talk about things, the less it's harder to normalize stuff. And I'm not trying to normalize anything illegal out here. I'm just trying to normalize people being comfortable with themselves and their bodies and what they want to explore. So let's talk about ovulation and your sex drive / people that you might be attracted to. This is going to be kind of short and sweet. When you are ovulating as a woman, you are more likely to be attracted to a douchebag, to put it simply, because at that point in your cycle, you're just looking to populate the planet. And you may not entirely realize it, but once you become aware of this, you kind of notice what I'm saying. Like, when you're on your period or PMSing, you might be more into the guy that's just like really sweet and emotionally sensitive and knows how to listen and would probably make a good dad, right? When you're ovulating, or maybe like post-period, you're going to be thinking, he has a 6-pack, I want him. If you're into men, that is. Just be aware of that. Just be aware of that. I'm going to say it more like women, if you're into men, be aware of that. Because you might start making some stupid decisions, okay? And I'm not saying stupid decisions are bad. I'm just saying that make sure you've got yourself a safety blanket in that situation. If you want to make a stupid decision, are you on contraception yet, babe? You better get on some. That's all I'm going to say about that. Also, what I'm going to say is, in general, for anybody watching, who you're attracted to. Just because you're attracted to somebody, it doesn't mean that you need to go and do the do with them, because they might be a horrible person. You might end up bonded to them, which is ew. And then worse, you might end up with a kid with them, which is just a bigger even ew. Like, oh my god, that, ew, right? Anyway, we don't even. Just be careful. And I will also let you know from personal experience, some stones are better left unturned. Let's just put it that way. Like, basically, you think it's gonna be a certain way, but it's just not. It's just not. And it's just like, what was I thinking? It was the uniform. Screw me. Let's talk about confidence in your body and sexuality. So one thing that somebody mentioned to me is that, again, trust really helps with this. If you trust that person that you're doing this with, it's going to be far easier for you to just accept yourself in that situation. You might not love yourself entirely, and you don't need to. That's okay. Like, that's such a lie for you to be like, you have to love yourself 100% before you do anything with your life. Like, no, babe, you don't have to. It's fine. You can be a work in progress. But to be with somebody that you trust really, really helps. Another thing I need to make clear. Men, they're just happy to be there. They're not counting how many stretch marks you have or how many pimples you have on your back. They just see a naked woman in front of them and consider themselves the luckiest man on planet Earth. So get over it. They don't care, so why do you? Let me put it this way. Usually, if somebody's in a bedroom with you, or in whatever situation with you, naked, they want to be there. They want to be there with you. They chose you for a reason, and that doesn't change when you take your clothes off. Now, in the 10% situation, why am I even saying 10? Like 2% situation, that is not the case. They are not worthy of you. So what can you do, being the authority that you are over yourself? You can kick them out. You can tell them where the door. I mean, you don't even need to tell them. You can just kick them to it, you know? Happy days! We keep it moving. I'll be honest, it took me a minute to get comfortable with seeing myself as a sexual being. For real. I think I felt so much shame, quite honestly, growing up. And I think all the conversations at school as well, anything regarding, like, pleasure, anything, it was just like, men. Like, there was there was just nothing. Everything is just, we were still coming out of the male-centric, like, narrative, if you will, when I was, like, growing up. I think it started to change probably like 5 years after I went through the sex ed system. Like I don't know, like it just recently changed, where there's more conversations around women and women's sexuality and women's voice in the bedroom and women's voices in life in general. Like, so it took me a minute, that combined with the fact that I just felt personal shame, like any conversation to do with sex was always male-centric. It took me a minute to just accept myself, to see myself as a sexual being, let alone accept myself as one. That too, without the presence of a man. Like, my sexuality is valid with or without a man, with or without another person. Whether I have some sense, like, of sexuality or I don't, like I'm sexual or asexual, like that is still mine. It exists irrespective of other people. What I choose to do with that is my own. It's my narrative that I get to write. It was only once I started to have sex that I started to feel more comfortable engaging in self-pleasure as well, because I felt that I had so much shame around it for so long. It's very true. Like, it wasn't until, like, I really thought that it was weird. Like, I noticed myself accepting myself more through somebody else accepting me. And I'm not saying that you need to do that in life in general, but it definitely made it easier being with somebody that I trusted, being with somebody that I liked, that liked me, that trusted me, that respected, you know, there was mutual respect. It can really help in terms of confidence and just getting comfortable with yourself, physically and sexually. 100%. Oh, I missed a point earlier regarding the O. I encourage you to get to know yourself a bit, then you can teach your partner what you like, which can be very sexy, or you can just take charge and show them. Yeah. You're a whole human being in every sense of the word, okay? You deserve to feel delicious. I really just feel like if you're doing this and you're not with somebody that's there to celebrate you and have fun with you, and somebody who's just like so like grateful and excited to be there with you, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You deserve so much better than that. You need to have somebody there. Let me put it real. Ranging from whatever situation, whether it's a one-night situation or a relationship, a committed one, that person, if they are there in that situation with you, they should literally be like, I want to devour you in a non-cannibal way. I want to devour you and give you everything and like just squeeze out everything from this opportunity to, you know, like just, no half-ass, I'm gonna criticize you, make you feel like really poo-poo about yourself, unless that's, you know, what you guys are into. But you know what I mean? Like, you should be having fun. Even if there's, other stuff involved, like degrading, whatever. At the base of it, you guys should be having fun. There should be consent in this. There should be enjoyment. There should be pleasure. Otherwise, go make some money. Like, what are you doing in this situation? Unless that's how you make money. But, you know, go and do something productive. Like, there's nothing good about being in a situation like this where that person's just going to belittle you and make you feel awful. If they're going to belittle you and make you feel great, then that's another thing. But, you know, you deserve to just be feeling yourself. Feel yourself. Like, I'm not gonna say, like, there aren't moments where you feel less confident. I've had moments where I feel less confident. 100%. I'll tell you, there was a time where I didn't do a whole lot because I gained so much weight and I was so uncomfortable with myself and just in life in general. Like, that was a reflection of where I was in life. I was just not doing good. I wasn't feeling good in myself. I just gave myself the ick, quite honestly. But it was less to do with my weight and more to do with just how I'd let myself down in general in life. That aside, like, your body... Life, baby, is gonna have you fluctuating. Your cycle is gonna have you fluctuating. Don't worry about it. Just get on top and have fun. Like, it's okay. And last but not least, quirky little tips. So I actually messaged my girly chat for this because I was like, guys, I've already got a list of things, but if you have anything else that you recommend to my girly paps and people out there, please message me. And one of my friends came through, so I'm gonna read out what she sent. Number 1, open wide. I did ask for an explanation regarding this, but she said it's open to interpretation, so do with that what you will. Number 2, laugh over every noise that comes out of your bodies. Very true. Number 3, make sure to compliment your partner, bracket, partners, and celebrate the good game. Number 4, wiggling around is always appreciated. Number 5, no such thing as too much talking. Number 6, prawn isn't real and you're beautiful and perfect just the way you are. That is so cute. It's so true. Guys, if you have any more, like, get on my Instagram, comment it down below. Let's do a Q&A. Let's get it juicy around here. We'll do a part 2. So the things that I came up with, height differences, guys. If you have a significant height difference, that can actually influence things in certain positions, let's just say. Keep that in mind. Not every position will be the most straightforward and easy to get into, but that's okay. Each person is unique. Each person, you know, there are different things and there are ways about things, methods and whatnot. Think pillows, think angles. Yeah. Oh, guys, sciencey. If a man O's inside of you for whatever reason, know that the pH of the vagin is different to the pH of Simon. This can throw your body off. So just be ready for that. What your vagine is used to, like, she is more naturally acidic, I'm pretty sure. Semen is more naturally alkaline, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I could be wrong. But they both swing in different directions. If you mix them together, it's not the best concoction for your hee-haw. So just be ready for that. You might want to take some pH, I've got a little something over here. You can get this type of stuff. No douching, guys. You should know this by now. You're on my channel with smart women. No douching. No douching. You're good the way you are. No messing about with what God gave you. Not like that. Not like that. No labioplasty. Oh, honey. Okay, look, at the end of the day, what you do with your body is still up to you. Whatever. But, like, I don't want you to hate yourself into doing things that are expensive and not just financially expensive. Okay? Each flower is unique. Each flower has its own fragrance. Actually, we can talk about vagine health and something in another video. Anyway, that's something else. But I got these. So when I'm, like, active, I like to take these. Do what you will, but just be aware, like, if that mixes, even if it doesn't, like, just sometimes the interaction, and if she's not used to that, it can throw her off a little bit. So alongside that, make sure you pee after. Make sure you pee. Make sure you pee. You can get a UTI. I, thankfully, have been lucky, touch wood. My body's not sensitive like that. But I know a lot of people who've had a really hard time, and then they've been drinking cranberry juice for days after. So just do yourself a favor, even if it's a night out and you're tired, or you've been at it for a long time, go pee. Go pee. Save yourself the pain later. This is going to be a little TMI, but we made it this far, and it's already juicy as it is. If the man O's inside of you, and you need it soaked up, put a tampon in. Put a tampon in. Put a tampon in, and then later you can take the tampon out. There you go. You're welcome. Oh, this, I hope you know, it should be common sense, but no A to V stuff. No A to V stuff. I get it, you know, you had a nice time in the garden. You come back to the house for a little rest, for a little break, through the back door. Like, you went through the back door, had a nice time in the garden. You come back in the house to relax, and you're like, oh, I want to see the front garden. Yeah. But before you do that, make sure you take your muddy boots off. I hope you get what I'm saying. If you decide to go from A to V, clean things. I hope that you're using a condom for the first situation. But, you know, take it off. Change it. Clean. Sanitize. No matter how much prep you do, the A is still the entrance to the garden. Why is this giving weird Bridgerton? So there is bacteria there. If you go and you put the bacteria from the garden, the back garden, into the front garden, you're just gonna have yourself a muddy trail. You get what I'm saying? We want to keep this quirky and cute, so just no A to V without a little cleaning. Get the boots off. Get the boots off. Thank you. Get new boots on. Clean boots. Clean shoes. Thanks, guys. So, like I said, different types of O's. Educate yourself, baby. Have fun. Have a little experimente with yourself. I will also say, depending on the day, your body can be sensitive in different ways. That's pretty fun. You know how, like, sometimes you wake up with specific, like, some days you wake up sad. Some days you wake up like, oh, I can deal with my life today. You know, like, you wake up with different moods like that. Similarly, your body can be feeling and vibing with different things. So explore that. Different people like different things, so communicate. For your first time, you don't have to go crazy. Like, you don't have to be a pro at anything because it's your first time. How could you be? But you know what's just inherently sexy? Consent, a level of confidence. And confidence doesn't have to be, I'm so happy with every single part, square inch of my body, and I'm the best at this. No. Confidence can literally be, I'm just going to own my imperfections. I'm going to own the fact that my body's probably going to queef at some point. Like, I've literally had to tell a dude, like, we do this with this. Just so you know, heads up. You know, like, just, yeah. Confidence is just being like, it is what it is. I'm going to own it. I'm going to have a good time. So what's universally sexy? Consent, confidence, condoms. But also, in terms of communication, underneath that, it could literally be like, does this feel good? Now, obviously, I'm not going to say it with my sexy voice, because, you know, that's a little too personal, but make it sexy. You can whisper it into their ear. You can, not really whisper it, but like bedroom voice it into their ear. Bedroom voice it against their neck, you know? Whilst you're doing something, does this feel good? I'm just gonna Does this feel good? How do you like it? Tell me how you like it. Show me how you like it. Do you want more? Like, how much more? You know, like, just have fun with it. And I'll be honest, like, you just gotta sometimes pretend you're somebody else. For me, one thing that definitely helped me in the early days was just getting dressed up. If I got dressed up, if I wore a little more lace, I was just feeling myself. If you're feeling yourself, it's easier for you to then get used to playing that role. And I don't mean role in like a performance way. I mean role as in the actual sexual version of you, stepping into them. That helped me so much. And then I was integrated. I think I felt so uncomfortable with my sexuality for quite a long time. And then just sort of taking the time to feel sexy, put on a scent that I like, something where I just felt good in my body, all of that. And then you just kind of step into that role, say the things that that version of you would say, and then it just kind of becomes natural as well. But yeah, communication. Do you like this? Do you want me to do more of this? Tell me what you want. Show me what you want. This is what I want you to do. Do it like this. Touch me here. It's literally, you'll find your way. You'll find your way. It can be very simple. It can literally just be like, yes, more, please, their name. Oh, their name, you know? It'll be fine. Oh, condom size is a thing, guys. Condom size is a thing. Now, look, it's one thing if a guy conveniently cannot fit into any condom. Red flag, baby, red flag. But men and all of us, we all come in different sizes, shapes, colors, textures, whatnot, right? Similarly, men, there are certain gloves that fit them better, right? So let's be understanding of that. I would advise that you have a few different sizes of condoms with you and that they do too. I honestly feel if a man is not carrying a condom, what is he thinking? Like, especially if he knows that sex is going to be in the equation, like, what is he thinking? He should be responsible for that too. If it does come off, because I've had this happen, it can't actually get lost inside of you guys. It's not a black hole in there. Like, because of the angles, it might be tricky for you to get it. Just tell them. Whoever you're with, they can get it. They can get it. It's very funny. It is quite hilarious. But that's another thing you should be ready for, is that it can be very funny. And it's not always this big romantic thing. It's not all a joke where you're just laughing at each other. It can be if you want. But there's fun in it. There's play in it. There's mess in it. Your body, like, you're going to sweat. I was not ready for the level of humanness that there was to it. As funny as that sounds, like, I really thought that everything would just be perfect in a way, like that I would just smell amazing and that it would just look a certain way and the angles and everything would just perfectly fit and we would just, you know, I don't know why, like, I think it's just a movie thing and just, I don't even know, just inexperience, but you'll sweat, you'll make faces that you've never made before. You will make noises that you didn't think you could make. Instinct will sort of take over at some point. It might not happen the first time you do it, that's okay. Just be okay with the messiness of it as well, because there will be a level of mess, and that can be very fun too. Sex doesn't have to end with a man finishes. Now the thing is, because a lot of people think this way, a lot of men think this way, you can use it to your advantage. If it's not that great, if you're not having a good time, if, you know, you just want it to be over and done with, like, cool, peace, bye. I mean, obviously you can call it quits before that, but if you just want to, like, leave it peaceful, like, okay, cool, yeah, amazing time, woo, and fake it, we'll talk about that later, but, yeah, you can, you know, but just to be clear, it doesn't end when a man finishes, unless you want it to, of course. There's this thing where we, especially in movies, TV shows, the man finishes and then all is done. What about you? What about you? Again, are you not part of this equation? What makes your pleasure less than a man's? What makes your joy and fulfillment and satisfaction in this scenario less important and less valuable than a man's? Pourquoi? For what? For whom? Get your thing in. Get your have a good time. It's about both of you. It's about both of you, baby. Don't fake the O unless you're really desperate. And it's the last time you're seeing them. Because if you fake it, they're just gonna keep doing the same thing over and over again, and it's never gonna change. So, again, like I said, if you just wanna call it quits, be like, bye! Never wanna see you again. Glad you had a good time. I had an okay time. Thanks for paying for everything. See ya! Yeah, if you want to do that, then, you know, whatever. But if it's somebody that you're going to continuously see, don't lie about the O. Don't lie about it. Because, to be honest, you might think in the short term that you're, like, taking care of the guy's ego. In the long term, you're going to break it. You're going to break it. Because he's going to be thinking, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh yeah, I got it, I'm so good. And then you're just like, yeah, I was lying this whole time. And then he's going to be like, I'm not that good. I'm shit. Don't do that. Just be honest. Men like it when you're direct with them. Men like it when you're direct with them. More of, like, literally just, I want you to do this. Do it like that. More of it. Like, just communicate. Tell them what you want. They will serve, baby. They will serve. They'll do it. They will do it. Don't fake it. You don't need to. First few times, like when I was first getting into it, I almost felt bad because I felt like this person's doing so much. Like I should just, and I'm doing so much. Do I expect them to fake it? No, I expect them to be honest with me so I can learn about them better. I want to please them as best as I can, and I can't do that if they're lying to me, right? So if you want to get the most from this experience, if you want the best time possible, own what you want. Own what you want. This is the time where you get to be a little selfish. Just because you're being a little selfish doesn't mean that you're neglecting the other person. It just means that you're paying attention to the both of you. Can I get an amen? Don't put pressure on an outcome. Just play, explore, discover this person, be present with them and yourself. Again, we don't need to be thinking it's going to be all romance, that it's going to be perfect, or that it's going to be really, really rubbish. Just let it be as it is. It was actually Shannon Boodram who was talking about this with her husband, Jared, in a video like a long, long time ago, where they were talking about just like the joy, I think joy is a bit of a funny word, but like the pleasure of a simple makeout. People sometimes think that it's got to be this grand thing, that the sex has got to look a certain way, that it's got to last a certain way, long, like a certain amount of time, that everything's got to look a certain way and fit a certain mold. But sometimes there's fun in just sort of not owing as well. Like you can just spend, if you have the time for it, spend the whole day just edging. Take breaks. Have a snack break if you want. Talk in between. Have a session. Chill. Naked. Do nothing. Maybe order some food. You're having a lazy day. Or cook something. Or be a little romantic. Pillow talk. Go for a stroll. Talk about your future that you're not going to have together or that you are going to have together. Trauma bond, whatever. It doesn't have to be this thing where it's like, oh, it lasted an hour and they did this and it was perfect and did it. Like, make it your own. Have fun with it. There are some times where it's going to be like, you guys just want to get straight to it. It's just a don't talk. There are going to be times where it's like, I really feel emotionally connected to you. Like, just have fun with that. The nuance, the shades of gray, if you will. Just enjoy it. Enjoy it. It doesn't have to look a certain way. If one of you or neither of you can owe, that's also okay. I think there's, especially on guys as well, like women, we can even lie about it. Guys, there's such a pressure for them to ejaculate. And a lot of them, they have the pressure of it. And I actually, for the guys out here, I know you probably feel a lot of pressure to perform, for everything to look a certain way. Girls as well, I just want to say, like, whoever, for guys, for anybody, don't pressure somebody to, like, don't make people feel bad. Even if you might be feeling a certain way, you can communicate that later in a respectful manner. It's not nice to be like, oh, why are you not erect anymore, and get really rude about it, or this is somebody's body and there could be anything going on in their head. Maybe they just need a little more stimulation. Maybe there's something else that gets them in the zone. Maybe there's something else going on in their life. Like, either way, who are you to judge? Like, just be present, be kind, be positive. It'll all be good. Sorry guys, I had to close the door because my parents just came home. It's a little orcs if I'm just yapping about whatnot. Guys, if you want to know what you might be into, look at your Mars sign in astrology. I know before you click out and you're like, that's too juju. If you just want to have a vague idea, find out the person's zodiac, their astrology, their birth chart. Look at their Mars sign, look at where Mars is positioned in the birth chart. It'll give you a little indicator as to what might make them be in the zone. Also, don't shame people for their bodies, what they are into, what they're not into. Regardless of your relationship with somebody, sex is still a very vulnerable thing. You're exposing yourself on some degree. No need to be nasty. You can still be respectful. You can be respectful, you can be kind, you can be playful, you can be fun, all in the same boat. You can also agree to disagree respectfully. And this, guys, this comes with like owning everything. Don't worry about being so polite, okay? Make the noises, be the animal that you want to be. You never see guys apologizing for what comes out of them, right? So why are you, as a woman? It's not a sin to be so sexy. Okay guys, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun. I sure did, thinking about talking about all of this stuff today. Yeah, oh my god, happy shacking. Have a great time. Let me know how it goes. And if you have any tips or anything you wish you knew, comment down below. Let's have a discussion about it. If you want me to do a juicy little Q&A, maybe a little sippity sip, let me know. We can start the Q&A on my Instagram, which is tagged down below, pretty sure, in my description. Oh, makeup check. We didn't get to do that. It's kind of dying now. We had fun with it. Little bungle moment. Okay, that's it. Just have a great time. Like, I'm just excited for you. Go and have a good time. You have all the skills, all the tools in your toolbox now. Have fun. You have Mama Mahika's blessings. Cheerio, darling.